Hey, it's Brandon Nash here, Nash Powersports. Want to chat with you a little bit about a division I like to call Nashty Customs. We build these things from the ground up, taking your vision, a little bit of our flair to it, and we make it absolutely extreme like nothing else. Nashty Customs, like this one back here, called Dark Side of the Moon. We got to take you through all the things that we did with this thing because it's absolutely a star-studded machine that gets all the looks. This particular car was really special to us because a friend of ours who had purchased one of our Nashty Customs had a friend that said, you know what, you cannot be the only person who's having so much fun and have the custom car. So I got his contact information, they're amazing people, and what he said to me was, I want a car that just absolutely just rocks. It has to have a cool stereo, has to be something that's me. And we started going down a couple different questions, but one of the target questions I had asked him was, what's your favorite type of music? And at first he said, well, Van Halen, and I had a different idea that we ended up doing for a different car. You'll see it in a different episode. That particular idea just sparked it. And then he came back and said, no, I gotta have Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd is me, and when I had a chance to meet him, that was absolutely the same thing that I said. And we are so happy to put this car together. He loves it. Him and his wife ride. They go all over the place. And it's super special to not only be able to bring this to you, but also know that they are out enjoying it. Sometimes these cars, when people build them, they sit in the garage, you know, they only put a little bit of miles and stuff like that on them, and then they call us a year or two later and say, hey, you know, it was great, had fun while it lasted, but, you know, I'm ready to move on. Not these two. They roll with it, they love it, we get a chance to see them all the time, and we couldn't be happier. So let's talk suspension. Nothing more important than making sure that not only are you going to have a relaxing but cushy ride, but also it's going to be able to do all the different terrain that you want it to do. That's why we went ahead and went with the HCR full travel suspension for the front as well as in the rear. Yes, we dressed it up a little bit, made it a little prettier to go with the theme of it with HCR, but this particular type of suspension, not paired with the shock therapy springs, really elevates how your overall ride is going to be way better even than what the stock form has got. Now these cars, they come with great suspension and that's why they're so popular, but elevating it to this particular level takes it to a totally different ride experience. All right, so this particular car, we spared no expense when it came to lighting because not only is the light need to be bright during the day, but also at night, and you'll see why in a little bit on my favorite part of the interior for the lighting. But let's start as far as on the front here. You have your normal headlights from Can-Am. We upgraded with the Corbin kit, which also pairs as a turn signal portion. Left, right, you can also see it as far as in the rear. Really helps out when you guys are riding in packs, letting the person behind you know exactly what you're looking to do. The other side, which was nice, on the shock tower, this is a 10-inch SD light bar. It also has the target strobe for it. We paired it with the amber lens to help cut down on the dust to make sure that when you're out there and the conditions are calling for it, or you are running that heavy pack and the sun's kind of rolling down, that it cuts the dust for you so you don't have any issues with being able to see in front. And obviously you have the top headlight as well here. This is the 50-inch SD with that same target strobe. It really lights up. You absolutely can see and put that focal point when you're driving, which is super important when you're out there on the trail. The last portion in the front is the Sector 7 mirrors. These have been super popular for many, many years, and here's the main reason why. Because it isn't just protruding as far as on the forward, it also makes sure that on the outside, it goes a full spectrum all the way around. So you really have lighting down in front where you want it, up top where it's necessary for where you are gonna be riding at too, and then the other elements as far as the lighting up front. So one of the elements that is totally different about this is we took this AZP cage, took it to one of the best airbrush artists that we possibly can here locally, and we had him make sure that this cage was airbrushed in perfectly overall with the theme of it. Now this car is actually called Dark Side of the Moon, and we wanted to make sure that the wrap, the interior, as well as the outside had every element for that particular vibe to it. The other thing that's totally different, so with the cage being airbrushed on there, same thing with the rockers. Normally we'd take a look and say, okay, you want the rock sliders, maybe we'll just powder coat them one particular color, but I'm not sure if you're seeing this. You can't, because it's invisible in there once you get on it. They matched this thing perfectly. They did a phenomenal job. We're super excited about how it came out with this particular design. The other thing that we also did, there actually is another color in here, which Gives it that majestic, starry look to it here on the roof rack, which is another great element. One of those gotta see it in person type to believe it. Kind of in the back of the car, right? Some of the more fun stuff. We did make sure that we upgraded as far as the whips. It's real nice to be able to have not only the color, but the visibility. If you're gonna take these to or if you're gonna take this machine to the dunes, which I know for a fact it's been to the dunes, they had a great trip, but having those whips on there is a necessity. 5150 is a great partner for that there. We also upgraded the wheels and tires. These are 33-inch Coyotes. We also upgraded the clutch weights on there to be able to make sure that the car was going to react properly to the extra weight that they put on there. We paired it with the beadlock Metal FX Hitman wheels. These particular wheels were very cool to do because we wanted to make sure that the inside color as well as the outside and the ring itself really did pop, and it definitely is a feature point on this car overall. In the back, we also made sure and smoked out the taillights. Make sure that you can see those and have that dark look to it. There is a rigid chase bar back here, which is very nice for your other riders and stuff. You want to let them know as far as what's going on. Cooler rack. The cage also comes back to a full bumper, which is great. And if you want to take a look in the back here, there's a couple other cool features. There's the pull plate. There's the radius rods. Definitely want to take a look at upgrading those as we did here. Those are some of those weak braking points that, depending on if you're going over rocks and trail and doing that type of stuff, that's gonna not be a very good afternoon if you have one of those things particularly break on the trail and you don't have a spare. Well, our friends over at Todd Custom Billet make sure that that's not an issue. Those are full aluminum, very strong and sturdy, a great additional benefit for this car. The other thing is when this car is actually on, you can hear it. That power agency exhaust is really a good sound and really helps out with the performance, and it looks pretty awesome back here as well. Last kind of cool feature I like about this is on the HCR front, we talked about as far as the suspension, those trailing arms, very much kind of a top 5 item for me when it comes to upgrading these cars, especially with Nashty Customs. That could be a weak point on how the stock car is, and upgrading that and making sure that those rocks and trails and stuff that you go over, that's not something that's gonna end your afternoon. So here in a little bit, we're gonna take you through all the cool lighting that we did on the inside when the sun kind of comes down, but I gotta tell you all about the inside of this car and what we've done, especially with the sound system, with this awesome platform that we're able to get all the electronics and stuff like that squeezed in. There's the Switch Pro 12, there's rugged radios in this, Audio Forms custom speaker stereo system that we did. We did 2 pods in the front, we did 4 in the rear, and then we also did 2 subs below as well as the upgraded amp. This thing sounds exactly like it should for the party that everyone wants to have inside this car. Kind of the elements as far as the glow that you'll take a look at, all the different little bits and pieces. As part of our design with Pink Floyd, obviously they were really known for the synthesizer. So what we did is we took a schematic of what the synthesizer looks and we put that actually up on the glove box. So when this thing glows, it absolutely glows the way that it should, the way Pink Floyd would be super proud of. So the seats in this thing, right? They're super comfortable from XXX. We did custom stitching. The gray in here, we actually wanted to mimic the look of Dark Side of the Moon, right? Everything that we look at from normal is all nice and bright, but on the back side of it is where that gray and the dark tones come from, which is why we ended up going this route with the type of leather. The blue stitching matches in with the teal, which was super comfortable. And then obviously that graphic that's embroidered in there is the signature Pink Floyd logo. Had to make sure that that was a part of it. Part of that signature rolls into one of their album covers, which was Dark Side of the Moon, which is exactly what we did for the roof here. Our friends over at Cactus Wraps not only did the overall wrap in general, outside, inside, all the little extra points here that look like the synthesizer, but they also did this inside of the roof, which is actually 7 different layers of wrap, and it's all UV. So when this thing actually goes down at night, which we'll see here in a little bit, there's 18 different UV pods in here that allow this thing to just absolutely come to life. The other thing that we ended up doing, all the lights in the stereo system pop with it too. When the song plays, the car plays. And when the car plays, the party goes on. We want to bring this series to you, tell you more about our Nashty Customs. We can't wait. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If there's anything else you think that we should have put in this machine, I don't think so. Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, continue to enjoy the content.